Well, listening to that, you would have thought, wow, for so many. Yeah, it could be jaw-dropping. But at the end of the day, today's papers, one of them categorically read, police return cash from Goje's home. Mr. Keji joins us this morning. Thank you for coming on
today.
Thank
you so much, Chamberlain, for having me.
Sometimes we tell people, you can't teach politics, Nigerian politics, to Nigerian students in schools because it never will be straightforward. Yes. But looking at how this is playing out, what do you think is going on?
I think there's a lot of confusion in this whistleblowing policy. It appears everybody is jumping into the excitement of whistleblowing. Let's whistleblow, let's whistleblow, and all sorts of, all manner of issues are being raised, sometimes unnecessarily. I would expect that we become more circumspect in attending to this issue of whistleblowing, so that we do not subject an otherwise ordinarily innocent citizen to public ridicule. Fair and good, so certain information could lead to discovery of incriminating materials or evidence, but it tends on the sensation. If proper investigation, real good information, exact information is not obtained first before embarking on such searches, because if you don't do that, what you would see is a vote farce, as we have presently seen the police making a U-turn, returning all items, and on the verge of apologizing.
But you know, so many scenarios to that statement.
Yes.
First, we may not have the full details as to what happens from the whistleblower to the blowee or to the officers or security agencies that receive the information, because some tell us behind the scenes that when you actually blow the whistle, it depends on which agency you blow to now. Some of them, of course, they'll question you. Some can even detain you, so as to be sure whether you are not part of that deal. When it went awry, you then decide to blow the whistle.
Yes.
Now that happens behind the scenes, but maybe not for the public, don't know that much about it.
Yes.
But that's on the one hand. But we may not also have full details as to what transpired, why these documents were returned, if it's the end of investigation on the part of the police.
Brilliant. That's politics coming into play in the scenario of asking exactly what could have transpired behind the scene before the police made this decision of U-turn to return the items and the cash found in Goje's house. However, one point must be made. It is unfortunate that we are jumping into the lake of whistleblowing without legislative backing, without legal backing. What we are doing today is just unconstitutional. That is the reason.
What part?
Everything about the whistleblowing today. You see, previously we've had situations where you can write petitions, formal petitions. Sometimes you can make statements on oath against individuals who you think or suspect to have committed crimes. That will be documented. That is a form of whistleblowing. But in this era of you whistleblow and you get a certain percentage of the proceeds of your whistleblowing, there is no law backing it, because Section 80 of the Constitution clearly provides that every revenue of the Federation must be paid into the Consolidated Revenue Fund, Consolidated Revenue Account, and no withdrawal shall be made except in accordance with a law made by the National Assembly. So if you whistleblow and funds are recovered, assuming those funds are illegal or are proceeds of crime, surely in losing those funds, they become funds of the federal government. And that there's an obligation upon the federal government at that point to pay in those funds into the Consolidated Revenue Account for purposes of acting or spending those funds according to a law made by the National Assembly. And such funds cannot be touched until a law has been made to allow the funds to be spent.
What if they pay you from security vote and they say, well,
is security vote part of the law? You can't put something on nothing and expect it to stand.
Do we know what they do or how they come about security votes? They don't spell it out.
They don't spell it out. That's a very big problem here. But you cannot, by any stretch of imagination, define results of whistleblowing as being part of security votes. That would take in fraud to another extent, to another length.
The whistleblowing, as you said, we must take it in the right stride and then have it institutionalized before we move forward. Now, I'm looking at this scenario that has played out. The raid happened. The police got the documents. Danjuma Goje announces that the part of the budget is part of the documents that were taken away. The police returned the documents. Where is the budget in this?
Oh, well, you see, let's put it in perspective. Danjuma Goje cannot, by any stretch of imagination, be in possession of the entire budget that was brought from the presidency to the National Assembly. That is unimaginable. Perhaps what he has is a copy in his laptop, or perhaps a copy of some areas that he is working on as chairman of the appropriation committee. There is absolutely no sense in saying that the original document itself that was presented to the House is in the hands of one of the senators. No,